Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Scorpio October 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, Clairvoyant. Well, this month we have a great deck. It's called Mystical Moments. It's very generously given to me by somebody else. Now, did you know that tarot decks will work better if they are provided? They're given to you rather than you getting it yourself. You can't get your own stuff, of course, but they work better if someone's given them to you. Now, you know, don't you, that I provide clairvoyant readings for people from all over the world over FaceTime and Skype. And if you're interested in seeing what's involved in that, just check out the description below. There's another gift which I was given at birth, which is the gift of healing. And I give that for free. Now, you probably say, oh, well, if it's been provided for free, it's no good, it doesn't work. Well, look, I know that it was given to me with three conditions attached. Number one, I am to use it. Number two, I am to provide it to people who ask for it. Number three, I am to get nothing in return for it. So it is offered for free, without any obligation or expectation. You won't be talked into having a reading with me, I can assure you, or to get anything from me or from anybody else. Now, if this speaks to you, like, you might just be at your wit's end about something. If it speaks to you for something, then just reach out, because I leave time aside each day to do healings. I do a few each day. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, is that the healing comes through me and not from me. And you could probably put two and two together as to where it does come from. Now, the thing is that there are no advertisements in this content we're going to go through now, so you get to enjoy the experience direct. And we're going to use 5 cards because they're very talkative to us. We don't just do some slapdash 5 seconds on a thing. So show me the magic. 8 of Swords. Damn, that's a lovely painting. 5 of Pentacles, as is that. Lord. The Hermit, of all things. Isn't that a hermit-looking creature? Now, there's the King of Cups. What's something? Let's dig out something from down in here somewhere, shall we? And see what there might be for you. There is the 3 of Wands. Well, I'll bring the camera around, shall I? You and I can have a good close look at the images that are on these cards together while the energy swirls and speaks to us both, and I'll do the reading for you. Fascinating spread of cards for you. Gee, you can worry about things at some times, but the good news is that you overcome all of those things by understanding who you really are. Tremendous amount of energy where you become like a winged storm and you go on to prosperity, success, and life goes on as normal. Except it's going to be better than normal. But let's have a look at these couple of things on this top row. We're talking about some mental troubles, some thoughts that you're having here. Now, this is an interesting picture, isn't it? Don't you sometimes feel as if you are yourself in a cage? But look at these wings. They are pointing out, reminding you of who you actually are. You were born with wings, so open the door of this cage and fly out, and never again be tempted to crawl along the branches of the tree of life like a caterpillar. Now, the astrology here is Jupiter ruling the first decan of Gemini. Well, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius occupies the 9th house in the zodiac wheel, which is known as the House of God. And there's a lot of divine protection coming for you here. Jupiter is in Sagittarius, and it's also in this card here in the sign of Gemini, and on the zodiac wheel, Sagittarius and Gemini are absolutely in opposition to one another. They're 180 degrees away from each other. So Jupiter is weakened by the inquisitive, scattered nature of Gemini. That just inhibits that philosophical, expansive nature of Jupiter. So this weakened Jupiter, I think, means that maybe you feel you can't get what you want due to too many, which is the Gemini aspect of it, distractions which may or not be self-created. I think they are self-created because there's lots of worries going on in your mind here, and we'll look at them. So here we are with Jupiter. Now, Gemini, of course, is the third impulse in the creation by the divine of manifestation, where unity is split and it turns into polarity. That is, it splits apart, and that splitting apart goes in all directions. And so it's difficult sometimes to make your way through all those polar opposite aspects. Now, it's necessary, of course, to have polarity, because without polarity, there's no attraction, and without attraction, there's no ability to do what is required to ensure reproduction, creation of more manifestation. Now, maybe here you're having some problems with endurance. And with this card over here, worrying or thinking too much, difficulty in making a choice, perhaps. Perhaps there's some self-sabotage here, or fear of failure where you are holding yourself back or quitting before you start because you think that you will fail. Now, one thing that is practical that you can do is to just let things rest and develop on their own for a while, because as long as doubt concerning decisions that you want to make remains, just don't go for anything new. Now, Jupiter, of course, is the announcer of unforeseen and unexpected change for the better. And those problems which you're having, those worries which you're having, which seem to be unable to be solved now, they will find a solution in their own way. Now, I am reminded of Sagittarius being in the house of God. Look, at the center of the universe is a loving heart that continues to beat and that wants the best for every person. Now, anything that you can do to help foster the mind and spirit and emotional growth of your fellow human beings at the moment, take that up as a job. Now, those of us who have this particular vision must continue against all odds. Remember, life is for service. So during this hiatus, to take your mind off things, undertake service. Now, sometimes when seemingly paralyzed by indecision or even by worry, as you have here, rather than sitting in the cage, you have to walk and create the way by your walking. Now, you won't find a ready-made path, though. It is not so cheap to reach to the ultimate destination, the ultimate realization of truth. You have to create the path by walking yourself. The path is not ready-made, lying there and waiting for you. It's just like the sky. The birds fly, but they don't leave any footprints, do they? You can't follow them. There are no footprints left behind. So it may well be that in an overall situation you're having a hard time about which is the best option for you to take. You could have what people call analysis paralysis, with your energy being scattered away on unproductive thoughts. Well, the solution is to take time out and to do something different, and let Jupiter then come in and do its work, letting things settle down, and you will then come back with new eyes. But there's something which is also necessary to be said here, is that your thoughts are the building blocks of the life that you create for yourself. Now, what is a thought? A thought is a picture. It's a picture that you have drawn in your own mind, and you have surrounded it with words that you have come up with. And a thought then turns into a feeling, and a feeling can turn into an action, and then the whole loop goes around again. And this is one of the difficulties that is being shown by this card here. Now, this Five of Pentacles, five has got the planet of Mars associated with it for me, which is about instability. But the astrology of it is Mercury ruling the first decan of Taurus, which is the 20th to the 30th of April. Now look at this woman here. She again seems to be in a cage, doesn't she? Her hair has turned into tree branches, and this rose is drooping down within the cage itself, snowing outside, and these windows of light, they are the promise of success, peace, and love, which she seems to be oblivious to. Well, Mercury in Taurus, Mercury is the planet of the mind. It's very quick, it's very flighty, and it's in the fixed sign of Earth, being Taurus. So Mercury, the mind, can get weighed down by that slow, heavy Taurus. And so with this 8 that we just looked at then, there may be some brooding or pessimism, or really more like it, just worrying about things. You might worry that relationships are threatening to break apart, that everything is dissolving at your touch, just as a snowflake would dissolve at the touch of the hand of the woman here. And you seem condemned in a way to just stand around while everything in your mind appears to be falling apart. Now, I suspect that this is something that has been going on for some time and you haven't dealt with it. Now, you might be saying to yourself, am I getting myself into a situation I might not be able to get out of? Will events overwhelm me? Look, worry is about the past, which is dead and buried, and the future, which actually doesn't exist, and neither of them can you do anything about. Now, it's important at this period, I think, to love yourself. You are your most valuable asset. It may be that in the past you have been rejected by some people. Well, they were preparing you for those who would accept you. And it's also the case, both with this 8 of Swords and this 5 here, you will find that if you always stand for what's right, your self-confidence will increase. The more you stand for your values and your conscience, the easier it will become to stand against the pressures of life. And soon you'll be like a rock that cannot be moved, even in the strongest of storms. Self-confidence comes from knowing your self-worth. You are enough, you are lovable, you have always been lovable, and you deserve love. Now, very often, of course, we ruminate about things that have gone on in the past. They're done, they're gone. But you worry about things that don't even exist. They lie out there in this thing that we call the future. But show me the future anywhere. Worry does not empty tomorrow of its sorrow. It empties today of its strength. And when you go over and over in your mind about things that could happen, that might happen, that did happen, well, you mistake that replay for thinking. When you catastrophize things, you mistake worrying for preparation and action. Now, you will have already have seen it in your life, I'm sure, that when what we think are dreaded outcomes, when they actually do, if they ever do, but if to say they were actually to turn up, then we don't worry about them. We take action. I mean, as an example, if you were to live in an area where there was a volcano and you saw lava from that volcano making its way down the street towards your house, well, that's not going to cause you to worry, is it? No, you'll start running. It's just as if we're on the west coast of California and Washington and in Australia. People don't worry about bushfires or forest fires. What they do is, if the fire happens, they take action. They evacuate or they put it out. So we don't normally choose events that are actually happening as subjects for our worrying, do we? And so we get a strange situation that arises, and it is this. Often the very fact that you are worrying about something means that it isn't likely to happen at all. And I think you would agree with me that perhaps the greatest worry of all was that one day you would realize that all the worries of your life amounted to one thing: the desire to just stop worrying. But because this card has been drawn by you, it is an affirmation that you are ready to look at your life and present situation as it actually is. You now have an opportunity to free yourself by having the necessary conversations, either with partners, other people, or with yourself, because only clear and open communication is going to bring about progress. Very often it's a case that we haven't stated our position properly. Now, in what areas or situations are you not clear and decisive enough? And with which people do you need to clarify things? Say this to yourself: I am ready to look at my life as it is and trust in the process of resolving my fears. I am straightening out my life. So I think what you might do is take some time to have a look inside yourself and just resolve yourself mentally for those things. Mentally is what I say. Thoughts. Your life is what you think it is. Your thoughts are your life. Now here we come to the Hermit, and this is actually quite well placed, I think, in this context. I'll say by way of a preface to this that you are not inside of your body. Your body is actually inside of you. You are an immortal spirit, formless, genderless, a ripple of awareness within pure consciousness that has come into flesh, into atoms, in order to experience a human life, and you built a character around it. And that character is sometimes prone to worrying and indecision and having fears and things, but that's not actually who you are. Now, this is Mercury, again, the mind, in Virgo. With Mercury exalted, I think you're finding your own light. and going inward and resting in your own center. You are one thing only. You are a divine being, an all-powerful creator. You are a deity in jeans and a t-shirt, if you like. And within you dwells the infinite wisdom of the ages and the sacred creative force of all that is, will be, and ever was. I think that this is a time that for this month you will see that your intuition, those eyes of the soul, they go before you, showing you the way, and emotions will follow behind to let you know when you're going off path. So listen to your inner voice. It is the calling of your spiritual GPS system, seeking to keep you on track towards your true destiny. I think also you'll come to realize that in order to complete your amazing trip here on the planet and to complete your life journey successfully, that it's vital that you turn each and every dark tear into a pearl of wisdom and find the blessing in every curse. Now I think you've discovered that you momentarily, this isn't a life thing, but you momentarily lost your way, but found your way again by your own effort without anybody's help. And this kind of getting lost gives you something very precious. It gives you self-confidence and self-belief. I think you'll also come to realize at this time that you shouldn't take everybody's opinion as a rule of conduct in your whole life, but rather decide for yourself. Pay attention to your conscience, the heart within. Then, even if you go wrong, well, you don't have anybody else to blame. It's something that you can fix up yourself. You know, just as an aside, it's interesting in times like this, during your journey, that you'll probably discover an interesting thing, and that is that once you stop worrying and thinking and seeking things outside, you discover what already lives within you. And particularly for women, every woman needs these three things: self-esteem, self-love, and self-confidence. Now, a female that possesses all three is an empowered and unstoppable queen. She knows her worth. Everything about her represents quality. Her happiness comes from within first. She respects herself. She values who she is, and she's not easily impressed or persuaded by people or things. She has a purpose and a direction. An admirable being is what she is, extraordinary and highly desirable. She's an unparalleled woman. So as I say, there might well be some time here where you are getting away from things just to get a better insight into them. And I think you might be becoming aware of something that you were previously in the dark about, and doing some recalibration of yourself and getting in touch with your untapped wisdom. Now, I'm drawn after that to this because you come out with guns blazing away. Look at this woman here. Now, here's a woman. She has moved out of her comfort zone, standing on top of the city, hair going everywhere. She's holding a ship in her hand and she's looking out at what may be out there in the distance, where she's going to go. Well, this is the Sun in the second decan of Aries, the 31st of March till April the 9th. This is great because the Sun is exalted in Aries. So this placement for you is really very favorable, I think. So you are going to enjoy a challenge, and Aries exalted Sun being with you, you will find that you are happiest when your life is moving forward and you are active. A lot of integrity and honesty with you. No compromises, I don't think. Your ideas are crystallizing. There's a confirmation that you are on the right path. Maybe someone's thinking here about turning a hobby into a side hustle or a business. It's almost like there's been an inner awakening, you know, because your body, intellect, and spirit are going to be in harmony. And out of this state, it crystallizes integrity, which doesn't allow for any lazy compromises. Now you will see, understand, and allow your own power free play, never giving it over to someone else in an attitude of subjugation. But despite all of this external activity that's going on, you are going to remain centered. Now, thinking about this point of internal stillness, which you probably got from there, that is going to allow a new sense of self-confidence to come into being, and it guards against an overload of unnecessary problems here. The wisdom that you have gained is strong enough to repel any worries, anxieties, and doubts which may be around. Any brooding, intellectual doubts, considerations, they don't stand a chance with you now, because you are filled with life energy and a sense of vitality. Now, if you are operating from a place of moral integrity, with a clear conscience and with clarity of mind, now is definitely the time to act and to put ideas into process. Pay attention to your own point and internal stillness. Center yourself, and you will overcome everything. Now, surely, are there any reasons for self-doubt with you now? Do you yet doubt your power, strength, and ability? Say to yourself now, I have the power and the virtue to reflect and to know and to sail on to abundance and love. Which takes us finally, I think, to this character here, which this might be somebody interesting, in inverted commas, showing up for a moment in your life. This is the King of Cups. Now, for you, what it is saying is that you will have a great capacity for giving and for getting higher emotional planes, great for romantic relationships. It's great for developing a sense of prosperity. But it could also be somebody else. This other person, and it could be a male or a female, of course, is somebody who's kind of, they're all right to be around, they're sort of passive. You know, they have the qualities of a Venus or a weak Jupiter. They're friendly in a passive sort of a way. But they do have a problem with actually making commitments. The people who are, it's a person who is really attracted to excitement, and they can have an unsustainable enthusiasm about a person, an idea, a hobby, an interest. They're sensitive, but they're really shallow. You see, the person on the whole is so superficial that it's really hard to reach their depth. Their name is written in water and it's gone. Now, this is a person I suspect who is, at best, loving and generous, tender can be, supportive, and the lesbian and gay members of the audience, please make the necessary adjustment, but this person is somebody who loves the opposite sex and the opposite sex can't resist them. The person is ruled by emotions, but not in a good way, I don't think. They're not very practical, and they always try and get out of their responsibilities. It's a person, I'm afraid to say, who may be intensely insecure and someone who constantly needs to be reassured. And at worst, they are highly emotional in a way that's annoying, in a way that is just too over the top, shallow, and unreliable. In any event, you are strong enough to know how to deal with such people. I'm getting a sense of Pisces and Aries around it, just by the by. Well, what a fantastic set of cards for you, and made so much better for you being here. Well, you did a great job there. Well done. And didn't I say the art was fantastic? Now, unless I see you privately, either for a clairvoyant reading or for a healing, then I'll see you again here next month. And until then, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.